Does this, you had spoken a little about the reason why you have written this book, and that was a question I was going to ask, but let me take it back a little. And has this passion been with you from the beginning? So when you were writing Hell Without Fire, Conversion in a Slave Religion, and the others about C. Eric Lincoln, was this always your purpose in writing to liberate, to empower, to open up a history that was unknown?
Oh, absolutely. This was my purpose. I make no apologies for it. This was about liberation because we have a very unique history.
Right.
And the books, most of the books that I read, they were on the periphery, they marginalized it, but nobody really hit it head on, you know, and let the chips fall where they may.
Okay.
And this is what I was concerned about. It was about liberation. Remember, I'm a product of the civil rights movement.
Right.
I attended my seminary work at Boston University, same school where Martin Luther King attended.
Yeah.
Alan Knight Chalmers attended, and many other liberators attended that school. So it's in my DNA to be a liberator.
Right.
Okay? And as a matter of fact, as I was telling my students sometimes, I had a course by Dr. Alan Knight Chalmers, who was a Euro-American, taught us how to organize to bring about liberation for our people. And so when I went to Birmingham after seminary, and Martin Luther King was there, and the civil rights movement was going on, I was like a rabbit in the bright patch. I was right where I wanted to be.
Right.
And so I come to this subject not only as an academic, but as a practitioner.
Right.
I spent 30 years as a parish minister, and I spent over 20 years full-time in the academy.
Right.
Okay, so I've had almost 50 years on both sides of the track.
Yeah.
But my purpose in both, whether I'm in the academy or the ecclesia, the church, I'm about the same thing, about liberation and about freedom.
All right. Terrific. Let me ask you about the title. I was interested, History and Heritage of African American Churches, A Way Out of No Way. Where did that come from?
Well, that comes out of the struggle of the African American experience. It's been a way out of no way.
Okay.
Find a way or make a way.
Okay.
We've had to live on crumbs. That's how we get soul food.
Right.
Because during slavery, the enslaved Africans could not eat the best part of the hog. You know, the pork chop and the steak. They had to eat the chitlings and the hog maw and hog feet.
Right.
But they had to feed the families.
Right.
So this was making what? A way out of no way. The church, this church that I'm talking about, the African American church, it did not begin as a visible institution. It began as an invisible institution.
Right. Okay.
A church down by the riverside,
Okay.
where you couldn't hear nobody pray. No but musical instruments, no carpet on the floor. As a matter of fact, they didn't even have a church roll, okay? Because they were stealing away. Because they wanted to have freedom to express their Africanisms, such as shouting, clapping their hand, a spirit possession, a call and response.
Right.
So down by the riverside, late at night, early in the morning, when they could have church to reminiscence of what they had experienced in Africa, this was making a way out of no way.
Right.
This is what it is. Right here at this AU Center. It is an example of a way out of no way.
Right.
When I come here to this library, and let me say this before I go any further, Brad Ost and Karen Jefferson and Andrea Jackson, I wouldn't have been able to have done this without you.
Thank you.
You have been tremendous. I don't have, my words inadequate to express my profound gratitude for what you have done. But then when I look at this library, and it's excellent, as far as I'm concerned, this venue has made the greatest improvement of any venue that I know in the AU Center has been the library.
Wow.
But then when I go to Emory and look at their library and compare it with what we have over here, I said, that's a way out of no way over there at the AUC. Yeah. That's what I mean by way out of no way.
That's a great explanation, too. If we could steer a little bit away, I have some other questions that might be of some interest to the audience, and that is, you've been prolific in writing, and if there is somebody out there that is that has that in their heart to write, that has the same desire, same passion. Is there something that you could say, some tips about how to get started, what to do, or what drove you finally to sit down and put pen to paper?
Yeah. Well, if I could be a little autobiographical here and share some of my experience, because I hope that this will empower and motivate somebody. When you, here again, my writing here again is symbolic or representative of a way out of no way. I went to school in rural Georgia in the late 40s and 50s. And I had to go to a one-room school where there was one teacher. And this teacher taught grades 1 through 7.
Wow.
And by the way, that was my grandmother.
Wow.
And we walked 5 miles to school and 5 miles from school. And when I'd be walking to school in the morning, the white children in the community were riding a school bus. And they would call out insulting remarks and throw rocks at us while we were walking. Okay?
Right.
And that's the type of school. No books, no pencils, no facilities. And if we did get books, they were hand-me-down books.
Right.
From the white school, they would send us their second-hand books. Okay?
Yeah.
So I tell people sometimes, the school that I attended, the high school and the elementary school I attended, they were so ragged I could look up and study astronomy. I could reach out and take the atmospheric pressure and look down and study botany.
Okay.
They were just that dilapidated.
Yeah.
But look at what you can do. Where there's a will, there's a way. In spite of that, I overcame those impediments, though that circumstance, and went on to college, went to Boston University School of Theology, a product of Jim Crow, making a way out of no way. And the point that I really want to say to young people who are interested in writing, and I hope they are, because there's just so much of our story that has not been told, is that if I could do it, God knows they can do it. Right. And remember, I was inspired by the words of Frederick Douglass. He said, if there's no struggle, there is no progress. You may not get all you pay for, but you got to pay for all you get. So there are no excuses,
right.
No cop-outs. It can be done, and just do it. Right. And the second thing that I tell my students is this, is that a dull pen is better than a sharp mind. That is right.
Right.
I write impulsively. And for the last 50 years, hardly a day passes that I don't write something.
Okay.
It might be a page, it might be 2 pages, but this is how I keep that creative juice flowing in my writing something. Okay. And the other thing that gave me the discipline in writing was being a pastor for almost 30 years, where I was required to do a sermon, a homily, at least once a week. Okay?
Right.
And I would start writing my sermon Sunday for the next Sunday. Okay? So that gave me a real sense of discipline. And I've carried that over into the academy.
Okay. And as a follow-up to that, as you're speaking to probably many students who are going to be watching this, that often they're coming to college now with the idea that it's a place to get a education, to get a job. It's just a way to get that diploma that's going to get them a job. And what would you say to them about being more thoughtful during that process, that it's just not a means to this paycheck, it's something more? Would you have something to say?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to excel in any area, to really make a difference, that is, and my philosophy is this, that I'm blessed to be a blessing to somebody else. That's the essence of my being. And people of my era, of the Martin Luther King era, generally speaking, that was the modus operandi. That was our purpose was doing. For instance, Martin Luther King, as you know, when he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, he was awarded $54,000. He didn't keep any of that money for himself. He gave it all away to SCLC and other civil rights organization. And it was about having a passion to help others, to make a difference. That was what, we were all about. And then this generation, I wanted to pass this on to them because my generation, we were so busy trying to give our children what we did not have until we failed to give them what we did have.
Right.
And that's this dedication, this commitment for service and helping others and having a passion to do it about it. Because at the end of the day, it's not, we want to have a comfortable living, and I mean, that would be naive or foolish to say that we didn't. But at the end of the day, it's not about what you've done for yourself, how much money you've accumulated, how many cars you have, and all of that. That's secondary. Right. It's not primary. I tell people all the time, I've never seen a U-Haul it behind a hearse. Well, we're going to leave it.
Yes.
Yeah. For instance, when I pastored in Los Angeles, we buried one of my members right next to Liberace's grave, his memorial there in Los Angeles at the cemetery. And one of the old sisters of the church said, I wonder how much money did he leave? Melvin said he left all of it.
Right.
All right. So at the end of the day, that's just the life. Right. And that's the great democratizer. Right. It has nothing to do with race, color, creed, PhD or no D, no house, or no house. That's just the way it is. Yeah. And that's life. Yeah. And I want the young people to understand that. Okay. And if they don't understand that life is a good teacher, they'll find out. Okay. Just keep on living.
It does. It does. One other question here. I'm wondering about what projects you might have coming up. What are you working on?
Oh, yes. I'm glad you asked that because what's happening is that this is the 150th anniversary of the Civil War.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. 1861.
Right.
April is when it got started.
Okay.
And this is, 2011. So I'm working on a project on the Sherman's March from Atlanta to Savannah. Okay. The emergence of independent African-American churches. And I plan to I'm writing a paper. I might be able to expand it, but right now I'm writing a paper for the Association of the Study of the life and history of African Americans. That's going to be convening in Richmond, Virginia. That's the Association for the Study of the life of African American life and history. Okay. So that organization was founded by Carter G. Woodson, the same person who inaugurated Black History Week. Now it's Black History Month. Okay. He did that in 1926. Mm-hmm. Oh. And it's his organization that he founded. And I'm reading a paper there in October. Wonderful. So I'll be calling on you and the library to help me because all of my publications that I've done in the last 20 years, I'm indebted to your library and to your wonderful services, and I appreciate you from the very bottom of my heart. It would not have been possible.
Well, we appreciate it.
As a matter of fact, I tell my students that the library is a sacred place. This is holy ground. It's the heart and soul of the Atlanta University Center. Wow. Thank you so much.
I can't deny that we love to hear that. Dr. Whelchel, thank you very much for coming today. I very much appreciate it.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.